Welcome to episode 4 of our Galatasaray rebuild. We left off at the break for the World Cup. At that point, we were 5 points clear at the top of the league after 13 games. We've only lost one. We finished third in our Europa League group, so we dropped down to the Conference League, where we're going to play Maccabi Tel Aviv in the first knockout round. So without further ado, let's get going. What we'll do is we'll do a quick recap of the World Cup, and then we've got a busy January, so we'll move through January. We'll probably watch, we've got a big game at the end of the month against Trabzonspor, so we'll probably watch that. And then we'll probably just take it to the end of the winter transfer window, which I think is the 8th of February. So let's get going. So before we get back to Galatasaray and the quest for the title, we'll have a quick recap of the World Cup because there was a few shocks in amongst it. So in the group stage, one of the biggest shocks, Scotland qualified for the World Cup in this save and qualified for the second round. No real shocks in Group B. Group C, Argentina were knocked out in the group stage. In Group D, no real shocks, although England obviously beat Congo, drew with South Korea, lost to Italy and went through on goal difference. No real shocks in Group E. Group F, Brazil were knocked out by Senegal and Norway. It's probably the biggest shock there. No real shocks in Group G and none in Group H either. Then in the second round, a couple of games went to extra time and penalties. Scotland took Portugal to penalties but lost. England beat the Netherlands after extra time. Now, what happened with that one, I think, from when I looked at it, Harry Kane scored a penalty in the 94th minute to take it to extra time, and then completed his hat-trick in extra time to secure the win. Italy beat Poland, France beat Norway, Spain beat Croatia, Senegal beat Nigeria, Germany beat Belgium. Not really any major shocks in that second round. In the quarterfinals, England beat Uruguay, France beat Spain, Italy beat Portugal on penalties, and Germany beat Senegal on penalties. Again, probably not many major shocks there. And then the semi-final, Italy hammered Germany, France beat England, and England won the third place playoff against Germany, and then France beat Italy in the final. Obviously, based in reality, the Italians didn't qualify for the World Cup and had a decent run to the final there. But certainly the biggest shocks were in the group stage there. Anyway, let's get back onto the quest for the title. So we've made it to the end of January, and all that can be said is that since the World Cup, it's been a complete success. We went into the break at the World Cup with a 5-point lead. We've now reached the end of January and we've got a 16-point lead. We've got a goal difference of plus 51, and we've had some really good performances in that period of time. So we came back from the World Cup and won 6-2 in the first game. Disappointing draw in the second game. We played a completely rotated side in the cup and got through comfortably, and then some comfortable wins. The game against Konyaspor, the 1-0, we probably would have liked it to be a bit more comfortable, but then Antalyaspor we hammered. We won 3-0 in the next game, and then the game against Trabzonspor, we went behind. We conceded a penalty in 45 seconds, which they converted. So after 90 seconds, we were 1-0 down, and then we just took them apart. We were 5-1 up at half time, with Dennis getting a hat trick. Chicaldo has been brilliant when he's played, when he's been fit, bursting through from midfield. He got another one. Kerem Aktürkoğlu is our leading scorer this season from the right, and Gavi popped up with one late on as well. Going into just before the transfer window opened, the boards increased the budget to 21.5 million. So the first thing we did was just paid the money in the loan deal for Dervisoglu just to make that a permanent deal at the end of the season, because he's been the one player that's played through the middle up front that we could trust. We also picked up Sertel as a left back, because the only left back we had in the first team squad was Patrick Van Aanholt. And given that he's 32, by the time the World Cup had come around, he was absolutely knackered and in need of a rest. So adding an extra one there just so we can rotate them around, because obviously we've got the Europa League still to come up, and then we've still got the Cup and the League as well. In terms of outgoings so far in the window, we've only really sent a few players out on loan and sold a couple of players from the under-19s who are never going to actually make it into the first team. There is still another week left of the transfer window, so there might be some more business. Jesper Karlsson, who we signed in the summer, who hasn't really, what his problem's been the registration rules, in terms of we can only play 7 foreign players in the starting lineup. He's not keen and wants out now because he's not playing. So if we get someone comes in for him, we might move him on. We might look to sign another forward before the end of the transfer window, but we'll see where we're at. In terms of games coming up, so we've got the next round of the Cup. We've got the first knockout round of the Europa Conference League away at Maccabi Tel Aviv. Hopefully there'll be more Europa League games to come from that. And then obviously looking further ahead, beginning of March we've got a home game against Besiktas, and beginning of April we've got an away game against Fenerbahce. But hopefully, given where we are in the league, if we keep going, we'll do well in those games, and hopefully it's not too long before we wrap up the title. And then if we're still in Europe, we can maybe concentrate on that. So next time, definitely the end of the transfer window, and probably through to the end of March. Just get through those games. We'll maybe even see the Besiktas game just to see how we're getting on. Okay, let's see you next time.